Hello and welcome back to another episode of After This. This is our 50th episode, and I thought that we would do something different because obviously it's starting to go up on YouTube. So we're starting to upload the episodes, and I thought I'd upload this one with video because we're talking about a whole lot of stuff and having a retrospective. So, welcome to the best podcast in the universe. About world federalism, probably the best in the universe anyway, and I hope you enjoy. So,
what's your name, Daniel?
What's my name?
Yeah.
Daniel. Why?
My name is Carla, that's why.
And I'm Shannon.
Video's throwing me off. I'm not used to looking at this many things at once.
There's just so many beautiful faces in front of you, Daniel.
That's correct. It's throwing me off tremendously.
I just got to say though, Daniel.
Yes.
I've turned over a new leaf.
What's your new leaf that you turned over?
I was doing some landscape gardening yesterday, and coincidentally turned over a new leaf. But on a serious note, I'm officially a nursing student now. Like I've started, and
that is awesome. That is awesome. So
that was really quick from applying to starting.
Oh, they're like, get him in.
This guy's going to be the best nurse ever.
Yeah. It's like, we only have girls in the class. We need one guy.
We need at least one dude.
We need one guy.
I really think you're going to be a great nurse, though. You've really got the temperament for it. Like,
yeah. I'm going to motivate. I'm going to bring the best out of all the people in the hospital, whether it be the clients or the staff. I'm going to make it a better place for everyone to.
Yeah.
You're so kind and caring, but you also have a big personality. So, like, you're entertaining. It's good.
Me, a big personality.
I can imagine.
Never heard that before, have you?
Ward and
What was
entertaining everyone inside, like rampaging around a ward, like having him just like making his way through and entertaining everyone. I can definitely see that happening. So I thought I'd do I wrote down a whole bunch of stuff, just like facts and bits and pieces, like just talking about like the podcast itself, and then we can crap on about ourselves, and then I have some stuff to do with the World Federalist stuff that's happened in the last year, essentially.
Oh, beautiful.
So which is the key part of the podcast, I suppose, but we've become pretty important, so it's pretty cool. To go through everything, so this podcast that we started, the first episode that we published was on the 29th of July in 2019. So it's almost a year has passed since we started putting up these episodes.
It doesn't feel like that long.
I know, like it's been going a lot faster than that, but we are almost there. Like at the 12th of July now, we are almost at the 29th. We put up 2 episodes on the first day because I vaguely remember it was like, oh, let's put up something with a follow-on so people can digest something, and then it was weekly after that. And that's when obviously, and I was listening to it again because I've had to put them up on YouTube, and I've been listening to them again to make video file versions. And that's when we were using the Omni mic still. We were all sharing this microphone right here that's right in front of me, but it was set to the Omni mode, so we had every random noise in the entire neighborhood. and quiet.
And like the worst room to take an Omni microphone because it's just hollow walls and reverberation central.
Yeah, no, we're in because this is while I was still at my parents' place and we were using my dad's office, and it's a pretty contained little room, so like the sounds just like bounce.
Although I would have thought there's quite a lot of books in the room on the walls that would have absorbed.
It helped
some, but having it set to.
It was more just hot that I remember, so we had to turn on the aircon that was in the room.
Yeah, and then that.
And then I think Carla got cold.
Sounds like something I would do.
The problem is that my operating temperature is so much higher, so no one's happy. And that's pretty. That's how the whole podcast operates. No one's happy.
I hang out with you, Daniel. I just start sweating profusely.
Oh, that's it. It's the energy. It's the energy of the presence. I guess that's what it is. But no, I just thought it was funny because it's like it has been a year of like us doing weekly episodes. I don't think
have we missed one? I don't think we have.
We missed one. No, we missed one. We missed
one because just we had scheduling insanity for a while. I think it was like February or January or something, we did actually miss one, but usually we're ahead.
Yeah, and we had 2 on the first day, so.
Yeah. So for everyone who's interested, we do record these in batches. So we get together, we record a bunch at once, and then we do them out. But sometimes then it's like it's 2 weeks. I'm like, oh, we got to do one, and then we have stuff and we can't.
Comes
so
up and like, yeah.
We try to stay ahead so that when these horrible things happen, that we're still sort of ahead of the game. So the next one was the average. I calculated the average views per episode is 37. 37 unique
shabby.
So that's across the entire thing, including the latest ones where they're about 15. And obviously over the course of the weeks, they tend to accrue more views. But the average is 37. So that's improved a lot since we started, where I think the average was closer to like the early teens. Like in the first like 10 or 20 we did, I think there was like maybe early teens, and now they're all the older ones you can see, especially like at 30s and 40s and stuff like that. So, and then sorry,
I just want to say, I like to think that's like the equivalent of us teaching like 2 classrooms worth of people in a week.
Yeah.
That's very true. I forgot to write this in as a note, but I got a message the other day from a guy who I think's in Australia, but he's just basically saying, oh, wow, I love your podcast and all that sort of stuff. And I got linked to it by someone else in the World Federalist stuff. And so I do get messages like that occasionally. People like,
oh, beautiful.
I have no idea who's listening. And then suddenly I get these messages of people saying, oh, this is going on. Or like, I really love this episode where you talked about this thing. I'm like, oh, wow, people are actually paying attention. It's not just
we were just doing this for fun.
Us rambling into the void, but people are engaging with our rambling, which is was awesome to find out. So I just thought I'd share that with you guys, that we do actually have listeners.
Yeah, I'll tell you the most random person that I've got to view at least one episode of the podcast was when I was getting all my certificates reprinted out to go to get enrolled into my nursing course. Yeah, one of the people from like VTAC or something like that, I got stuff on the phone to her for like 25 minutes. I'm like, well, you should check out this podcast that I'm doing. She's like, oh yeah, well, I'll do that right now. So I get all these really obscure people to have a squiz every now and then. It's good.
Oh man, that's awesome. No, that's the thing. I guess that's the nature of just like the slow growth. I got this note as well from Nick, who's the guy I started the YWF with. And when he was we were talking about put it on YouTube. So this was like actually like a month ago, or a little less than that. So he labeled us saying, y'all are legitimately funny and entertaining. Because he's born in Texas, so that's why the y'all is necessary. I don't think he's born there, but he grew up there.
Yeah.
So there you go, y'all.
This is a spicy take, but I think y'all is so much better than use.
Oh yeah,
right. I love y'all. I don't say it, but I love it.
Because of the drawl.
Oh, do they use? Oh, I guess it's an Italian thing.
Use?
Is it
you hear it in like Italian American like mob stuff?
Oh, do you? I always thought of it as like a Aussie,
kind of thing.
I guess, Italian immigrants to Australia, but
now we have the bogan version here. Use. Love it. So I
was just going to say, I do remember when my mum came back from Texas. She's like, "Howdy, y'all!"
Oh, Brenda. I would love to have seen that. Actually, that's the one thing I remember that, like, my parents were saying when we went to America when I was a little kid, and I don't really remember it that well, but they said that one of the things that happens when you spend a bit of time there, you start to really get the accent really quickly. Like you copy it, I guess, because we hear it on movies and TV shows for such a long time. When you're there, it's like suddenly it all just clicks and you start talking with an accent. I don't know, like apparently it happens.
I'm not surprised.
I'm bad for it because like one of my personalities is like the person, like one aspect of my personality depends on who I am. I try and like really focus in on entertaining them and channeling them. So if they have an accent, I'll just steal it and take the piss out.
You're talking to him over there.
Yeah.
You just like Shannon slowly transforms into another nationality over 30 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
All his mannerisms change.
Yeah, put me on the phone to like a proper English person, and whoa, brings the
Who am
Cockney.
I anymore?
That's it.
So our most viewed episode, I think this is because it got posted on a couple of Reddit channels, was the one about globalization. I think it was our 6th or 7th one, and that has 335 views.
Nice.
Whoa! More posting, Daniel! More posting! What have you given?
We do. I mean, the thing is, we post it periodically on the Reddit channel that we run, Global Tribe. But this one, I think, got cross-posted onto some other places that had a lot more people. So it just, blew up. And obviously, this is the part of the thing of putting on YouTube as well, because then more people will see it, because not that many people use podcast platforms. So, a lot of people do, but then a lot of people absolutely don't.
And it's not easy to share on podcast apps, most of them anyway.
So YouTube, you can smash onto people a bit easier. So that was our biggest one.
Smash that like and subscribe.
Please like, subscribe, and comment on all the things that you loved about this.
Oh, yeah, gotta comment.
I hate you all. So 10 episodes have gone over an hour. Even though we kept trying to keep it just under. Yeah. So I thought 10 out of 50. So 1 out of 5 has been slightly too long.
Challenge accepted.
And then, so then I made a note to basically say, obviously we're moving over to YouTube as well. So obviously I'm still doing the uploads to the podcast platforms themselves, but I'm trying to do both. So what I'm doing is I'm going through and making video versions of them all, basically, where it's just a still image with the file playing. And obviously that's taking ages, because you'd be astounded, but as as simple a file and video file as it is, it takes a really long time, because it's like 40-something minutes or an hour to encode it. So just doing one takes ages. So I try to do a bunch and upload them and schedule them and stuff like that. So they're coming out every half week. So I'm basically trying to get them to catch up really quickly. Yeah. But I'm probably going to put this one up anyway, even though it's currently sitting at like 5, to say, because we've been going on Spotify. So anyone watching on here, we've been doing this on Spotify and all these other
Podcast Addict.
Yeah, Podcast Addict and Apple Podcasts and all that sort of stuff. We've been doing this for ages, for a year, as we said.
And don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you want to see more of our faces on YouTube.
Yeah, I don't know. I have to figure this out, but I have to figure out if we want to do them all on camera from now on to make this like a web chat show like this, instead of doing them as purely podcasts. But I don't know. We'll figure it out. Anyway, it's a trial for our big 50th.
As a reward for if we do go to video from now on, I'll start doing my makeup every week.
I hope you wear different shades of lipstick every week. That's what I
Whoa, I want on a rainbow now. I'll be like Toucan Shan.
You can go for goth girl.
You can get some pretty bright colored lipstick at the moment.
Yeah, there you go. Just paint on like that radioactive stuff that glows and melts your face. It looks great for the podcast. So we so averaging 30 views after only a week on YT. So the first episodes came out about a week ago, or a week and a half, and they've already got about average 30 views. So
cool.
The first one's 37. So that's a much faster growth than we've had on the podcast one. So again, who knows what's happening with that? I'm going to keep putting them out there and see if I can share them around Reddit as well.
I really appreciate it, Daniel.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, for me, it's all just part of the big meta passion project to get federalism stuff off the ground. So the thing is, hopefully we can get somewhere with it on Reddit and all that, and maybe advertise a bit of it through the Facebook page, because we do that every now and then through sponsored posting. So we'll see.
Just so you know, Daniel.
Oh,
go, Carla.
I was going to say Daniel does all the work. I just dial in once a week. Don't even leave my house now.
Well, congratulations. After lockdown has subsided again, I'm going to bring my massage table around, and you've earned yourself a big back rub, big fella.
I'm like concrete at the moment, because like we're just sitting inside all the time, and like everything is just...
Yeah,
That's
Melbourne,
crazy.
for anyone who's listening and watching who's not from Melbourne, Melbourne's just gone back into lockdown. How long did we have? About a month off where we were allowed
Which
to.
is really fun because that is literally the next note I was going to mention.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But basically, as Carla says, we've been doing Skype since April or so. When we went into lockdown and we couldn't do anything, and then we came out for a bit, and Shannon came to my house and recorded some of them here, and now we're back in quarantine again. So we're back on Skype, which is good for recording. But yeah, Melbourne is in the midst of a big second wave, as Carl was saying. So we are not allowed to go anywhere. So we're all trapped inside. The great thing is Skype's a really good platform for recording this stuff. So
that's why I'm so glad I do landscaping work, so I can go outside and play in the dirt.
Yeah, so you're allowed to keep working through lockdown.
Essential service. Yeah, you can't it's just like the whole stopping construction. It can't really do it, and I think like it's what was it? I saw like on Who as well, like that they backflipped on the on what they were saying about how COVID can travel through breath in a room.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't have to be coughing or anything like that. So I think with all that sort of stuff, working outside is a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on. I'm trying to find something where. How do I link this? It's the photo of all of us winning the soccer league. This is like right before we started making the podcast. So hold on, I am just going to send it to you.
Oh God, I missed
it. I'm going to put it up on the screen in the actual thing. Oh, it says content. Is that content? I don't know. How do I share this?
Posted a link.
You're scaring me, Daniel.
Yeah.
But just to give everybody a recap.
Anyway.
Just to give everyone a recap. We went into overtime. It's 2-2 or 3-3, I think it was. And then
that might work.
It was a very dramatic final.
And so then the last 5 seconds entailed Daniel going, "Rah!" and then a big pack of people flying together, and then Carla miraculously tunnel balls the ball through 3 people's legs, plonked out the other side, and set me up, and I put it in the back of the net. Couldn't have done it without you two.
So it was an amazing performance, and I'll flash the photo on the screen for everyone to see. But
also, we say soccer; it's indoor, it's futsal. It's I'm not running that.
We've been really bummed because the whole time, obviously during quarantine, we haven't been able to play, and my body is just like, come on, let's do it again. So it's been a big thing for us that we haven't.
It's actually the longest time I've gone without playing sport in 24 years. And
really?
Yeah, I've taken up archery though.
That's cool.
Archery?
Yeah,
he's going to go and find his bow. Oh, there it is. Oh, wow. Okay, awesome.
It's obviously de-strung, because if you leave them strung, then it just ruins the effect bit.
Yeah. So you do that in your backyard?
Literally, I do it inside at the moment because I'm using it as a form of like rehabilitation for my shoulders, just like the full extension, and it gets that nice V look in the chest.
Is that how you get Sam to do chores? I'm just flexing.
Yeah. And then I put the flame arrow on and warn him that the smoke detector's about going off.
Actually, that'd be effective.
Actually, we have the worst smoke detectors. Whenever me and Sammy get out the shower, it goes off. It's really weird.
My God, steam sets it off.
That would be painful.
No, not steam. Me and Sammy are just smoking.
Oh, yeah. Well, that one.
So I guess that gets us on to the next
podcast
point I had.
Yep.
Which is basically what we've been doing. So, because I wanted to just go through that little update about what we've been doing and thing, but like, what have we been doing individually? So obviously, like Shannon, you were saying,
I've gone 360. I've gone 360. Like in my introduction, I'm all like, I'm a building and construction student. Now I'm a nursing student, and I realise I just have too much compassion in my heart to go down the building industry.
Yeah. So how's it been? Like, 'cause this has been your first week, hasn't it?
Yeah. Obviously, we got face to face for the first day of the orientation and whatnot, but now we've gone on to recording,
Hmm.
and
That'll have a decent psychological effect, just having at least that one time to meet everyone.
oh yeah, it's really nice. Like,
Yeah.
it's just like, just everyone getting in for the same thing, and we're just sort of like everyone's just comparing, making sure we got all the right things, our logins and all that working, and
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was really enjoyable. And it's just like a small little TAFE college, so it's purely nursing and like first aid focus. So yeah, it's just really nice. And once lockdown subsides and we all get to go in there, it's going to be really cruisy and like a nice multicultural family feel, because we've got people from all corners of the globe coming here to be nurses. Yeah, but that's pretty much like my education that I've done. But when I started, I was a window tinter, and then sort of got a little bit. I like my boss just didn't see the passion in me anymore, and he's like, "Look, I can't really invest in that in the future." And I'm like, "You're not wrong, dude. You're not wrong." So yeah, that's it.
Sometimes you need
you
that.
were wrong. Like that, like
You're
what you're
right.
saying there is I can't go for unfair dismissal on that, because you're not wrong. So no, he looked after me anyway, good bloke. And yeah, that's what pretty much got me into nursing. But straight after that, I got into landscaping, and that did wonders for me. Just getting back outside, playing in the dirt. Well, it was good until I started playing with concrete. Oh my gosh! Like people that commit to concrete, they're like, you could just like concrete. They're a different level of toughness. Like,
it does seem like an annoying substance to work with constantly.
Look at my hands. Look at my hands, man. Like, they're all like scuffed and they're still dirty. Like oh, that was from black tan bark. I don't know what's in that black tan bark, but I've cleaned my hands for an hour and a half and they're still black.
That is crazy. So yeah, you're the only one who does tough work of the three of us. We two do softy office work. So
that's why I got this little lip thing that goes up in the corner.
Yeah, mate. Yeah.
Sure. Real tough stuff. Get in there.
That's what you are, Shannon. You're the tough stuff on this podcast. So okay, well, Carla, what have you been up to in the past year since we started this?
Certainly not working with concrete. Not tough at all. Well, in the last couple of months, I've had some time off thanks to COVID. It's a polite way of putting it. But that's kind of been nice, having a bit of a break recently, because I never like took a gap year. I've kind of been studying and or working forever, so it's been like I'm starting to get. Oh, Kitty, your cat. Dan's cat has got the best name of any cat I've ever. What's his name, Daniel?
Ghostbusters. Because there was a bit where we thought he was going to be deaf, and it was going to be the irony of it, because he got a call, but you can't call Ghostbusters. But no, he can hear. He
very disappointing that your cat isn't like can actually
in the morning, because obviously he sleeps in the room with me and him and Barney, because Barney's the dog. He sleeps at the foot of the bed, and Ghostbusters sleeps on the bed generally. And like he's got into the habit now of just getting in under the covers, because I'm really and then sleeps against me. So like it's just, we've all formed a habit.
Yeah.
I just feel like I'm half awake, and you feel him nudging where your arm is, just under the thing, and then because he wants to get in. And oh man, kittens.
That's so adorable.
It's like
here's my man.
Oh,
Django.
Django's such a good name.
Django. Yeah, he was named after Tom was playing I think it was Skyrim mod that had a cat, like it was a tiger or a panther or something, named Django, and it was not programmed particularly well, so it was extremely disobedient. Like once he got into like a slight argument with a town guard, and he like talked his way out of it, but Django was having none of it, and he went and killed the entire town. So that's who this cat's named after.
That is funny because I always assumed it was after the Star Wars character or something.
It is not, no.
Alrighty, well, I learned something.
Yeah, we've also got another little black cat named Terry, but I don't know where he is.
Are you still studying as well, Carla?
Yes, yep. So I'm doing an MBA at Melbourne Business School. I'm just doing one subject at a time, so I can still keep. Well, I mean, in this case, not working, but usually keep working.
I'll toot the horn for Carla because clearly she's not. Melbourne Business School is probably one of the best business schools in Australia. So, clap for going there.
That's Carla. Yep. I know that's been really good. We're doing everything over Zoom at the moment, obviously, which has been good. It's more convenient, obviously, not having to go into the building and just signing in from home. But I have really missed.
You do live really far from campus.
I know, it's like a full 12-minute drive.
Do you get parking there? Because I went to Melbourne Uni as well, and I always used to take public transport. But I knew there was parking options. I just never used them.
No, I've never parked there. I always take the tram. But
okay, yeah. I wasn't sure if you got special
easier description. No. No. Well, sometimes because there's a lot of group work involved. Because obviously that it's kind of valid, I think, because it's realistic. If you're working in a business, you're going to be working with people. So, like, I know people complain a lot about group work, and I think for some of the science and some of the arts, it is a bit like, why are we doing this? But for this, I think it's valid. Anyway, often you're going in on weekends for that, so sometimes you can get parking around there.
Oh, yeah, okay, cool.
Saturday afternoons and Sundays. But anyway, not really the point. But yeah, it has been annoying not being physically in the room with the rest of the students. So even though it's more convenient this way, I'll be happy once we go back to going in.
Yeah. Shannon, what are you waving at?
Wild Sam Batty entering the room at full volume.
I don't think it came through on the headphones, so you're good.
Cool. Okay. Well, I mean,
it's my new dance move, guys. I was just like, party 50 episodes.
50 episodes.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
Do it. Okay. So yeah, I've just kept working, obviously, because I work in corporate sales. So the thing is, it's basically just continued. It's mostly on the phone and email anyway. So that's just kept going. Obviously, business got harder because not much has happened. So we're all fine, but obviously we're not doing much sales-wise, not as much as we were. So it's been a pretty lazy period, I suppose. They've got us doing other stuff instead, but generally, like, it's quieted down quite a bit. So that's just sort of kept going. It's been good. I'm glad I'm one of the people who's been able to retain an income. So it's been fortunate that that's been the case, especially because we're in our new house. We have a mortgage to pay.
Yeah, that's a big exciting thing you did recently.
It is. Yes, I forgot about that. So me and him got a house together in South Morang. So this is really nice. It's been great because we moved in, everything got sorted, and then COVID happened 2 weeks later. So we were all set already. I'm glad that didn't happen a little bit later, and then it would this enormously.
I spoke to someone who moved house during the lockdown, and it was a freaking nightmare. So you're lucky.
Imagine. Just all the restrictions and stuff you can and can't do, while it's happening. It just, I wouldn't have wanted to do that.
One of my friends was working with Man in the Van as well, so it's just
that'd be difficult.
Keeping the restrictions and social distancing. It's like, how do you social distance when you're carrying something really heavy and small? You're like,
you're like a stretcher and carry everything on a stretcher.
You're carrying it together. Don't look at me. When did we start getting and painting 40K again, Shannon? Was that during this 12 months? I'm just trying to remember.
Yeah, of course it was.
Okay.
It's longer than 12 months ago. I wouldn't have remembered.
at some point in the last 12 months, we started doing that again, and we played a bunch of games. So that's been really fun. And then we couldn't see each other anymore, so that got cut off.
Just to go back about your house, like, Daniel, there was a certain modification to the house that had to be adjusted when you got there, and something about a car park. Like...
Yes. So what happened was originally the front landscape was like there was a driveway, and next to it was like a garden. It was mostly just bark and scoria and some plants. And so me and Shannon, so massive credit to Shannon, we basically spent a couple of days digging up the entire garden and sectioning off almost the entire thing as a big square with like garden barriers and things like that. We filled it all in with like a gravel compact, and then just compacted the crap out of it endlessly.
Crushed rock. We went over it about 7 times as much as we needed to. As I found out later.
It turned into like a concrete type. So that's what our second car parking space is, because you can't park on the street really. That's the problem that we have. So we can't always park on the street. So we formed a second spot. So me and Shannon did that as part of moving in. So that was actually really fun, honestly.
Nice work.
That was a great, very cheap process because I didn't have to pay you anything. Wait, I did. I don't know.
You bought me shoes and Warhammer, and we called it even.
That was probably what it was.
Yeah, I was like, that was good. That was good.
Out of the Warhammer, and the shoes were soccer shoes. So again, there was something that still helped me somewhat.
Okay.
my baby blues. I've used them twice, and then COVID happened. So I've just got.
It's all right. When you come back out, we'll all just emerge with all this frustrated energy.
Look, if soccer gets cancelled forever because of COVID, I'm gonna have to get like a little glass case just to have like my little gold.
Well, they said
it was a little shrine in the corridor,
and then Melbourne was the one place where everything re-emerged. So then it's been knocked off again. Oh, so it sucks. And also obviously I decided that I was sort of done with just doing sales, because I did political science, and then I did a postgrad in economics while I was at uni, but I didn't really like any of those. I liked the things, but I didn't like the jobs that I could get from them. I wasn't really interested in it, so I ended up falling into sales because obviously it's very hard to get a job with those qualifications in that area. So I just fell into sales because I could. And then I've been doing that for 5 years. No, not 5 years, but a lot longer than 5 years. I've been at my current company for 5 years. Before that, it was like another 5. So lots of corporate sales. And I finally kind of hit that point where I was like, they're just expecting more and more, and I don't really enjoy the work. So I thought I'd go back to uni as well and do something that I actually kind of cared about. Because like we were saying, the Artemis thing, I got frustrated by all the NASA ads and knowing I couldn't have anything to do with it. So,
just quickly, Daniel.
Yeah.
10 years in sales.
Yeah.
Congratulations on maintaining your personality.
Good point.
Yeah, you either become a part of the sales machine, or you kind of just constantly deride it while doing it anyway. And they're kind of the two levels that the great thing though is that I am in like corporate sales in an office where you're more or less still able to be exactly who you are. It's not like a telemarketer space where you're being destroyed every single day. We've evolved past that. I got to kind of step around it by doing some account management jobs instead. So I never really had to do that because that'd be a nightmare.
That's good. Yeah, that's so destroying.
So I decided to go back to uni as well. So I've gone to the RMIT in Melbourne,
which is pronounced Rimmet.
I used to call it Armit.
no, like Rimmet.
Rimmet,
yeah.
Doing a Bachelor of Engineering. So I'll do lots of technical things from now on, which does sound a lot more interesting. So I'm really excited to start that. That starts.
It's really good for technical.
What are you?
Engineering.
Rimmet.
Sorry, Rimmet is really good for engineering. So.
Rimmet. That starts in a week, so that'd be really good. So
cool.
It's more maths than I've done. It's funny working in a financial sales role. I do random maths, but not like engineering maths. And so
imagine you do a lot of percentages work.
What I do, it's a lot of like coefficients and percentages, and like this is a bit of this, which is a portion of this kind of thing, which kicks out at this sort of thing, like a lot of stuff like that. So that's really exciting.
Congratulations to Rimmet or RMIT for obtaining one Daniel Blewett. You've done well.
Very excited. So the good thing is I get to do 2 subjects this semester and then 3 for the next 2 next year. So
Cool.
it's kind of like an easing in, and I can sort of modulate, cut down work while.
So are you working?
So this year and next year I will be, but I'm going to try and get into a cadet program that the Defense Department runs,
Cool.
where basically they pay for everything, and give you a 50K a year salary while you're doing it. But you work for them for 60 days a year, so you do it in your breaks.
Oh, okay.
And then you don't. They really want you to work from at the end, but it's not like the military one where you have to. It's basically like, yeah. So, but they
that
really
sounds like a great deal.
Oh, it sounds amazing to me. So
yeah,
all my uni and give me a salary, and I just have to work for them 60 days a year. But the great thing about them is they're the ones that have all the space technology stuff. So the thing is, if I go work for them, I can get experience in that, and then eventually move off into that direction.
So within 2 years' time, Daniel, you should hopefully be a space cadet.
Space cadet. Have you guys seen Space Force on Netflix?
Yes, I haven't seen all of it. We're about 4 episodes in.
It's like, what's your rank? What's your rank? Spaceman. Nothing to be ashamed of. Spaceman, say it. I've been meaning to watch the rest, but me and Imogen have been watching through It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh yeah.
Because I've seen it all before, but like watching it through again. Oh, such a funny show. I love that show. It's all on Amazon Prime now if you're curious. Yeah, okay, so that's kind of been us for the last 12 months, as far as I can remember. I mean, that's the thing is so much has happened, and like it's hard to really remember everything in a concise way.
And COVID's really like screwed up the whole sense of time over the last couple of months too. I found it's like, am I at work? Oh yeah, shit, it's a Thursday. Yeah, and everything's kind of divided into pre-COVID and then during lockdown, everything's just kind of on pause. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I'm like not allowed to go anywhere really, but I kind of am. I don't know, like it's.
Yeah, I just don't get why like places that you can get fined at are allowed to remain open. Like you're not allowed to go wash your clothes and stuff like that at a laundromat. I guess it is essential, but like there's a technicality on it. But there's other things that aren't. You shouldn't. It's like they're allowed to remain open. You can go into them, but you get fined unless you have. Oh, it's real weird. It's like not.
I guess that's the thing is they've had to really quickly make a system that still sort of protects things.
Yeah.
So it's just a huge mess, really.
Yeah. It's just like.
Pretty well, really.
Yeah, no,
honestly, it's an incredibly difficult thing to do.
It is.
Given how much they've had to do, I think it's been pretty good. But yeah, like inevitably, it's going to be messy.
Yeah, it's messy and it's created like a whinge fest. Like, you know, like my biggest gripe being on like the construction thing is doesn't matter what size the room is, you're only allowed to have 2 people in a room at any given time. But then you go into Macca's and then you see 20 people in the same size space, and you're just like.
Yeah. It seems weird. Like it should be based on some other factor, but maybe they're just trying to keep it simple.
I think they need to take logistics into account at some point. Like,
okay, guys, you got to finish building this aircraft hangar. So technically, the whole thing is a space. Only 2 of you are allowed.
Well, I guess
it's like Bob's at the other end, and it's like 300 meters long or something. It's like, Bob, I need the steel. Oh shit, he has to run all the way across. Oh no, not that one, the other one. Sorry, I didn't see it till you got close. That'd be awesome. Anyway, I thought I'd go through and do like instead of just an update on us, like it's an update on the World Federalist movement and the YWF and all that sort of stuff and everything that's happened to us in the last 12 months, because obviously that's what sort of originated a lot of this anyway, and where it's based. So,
can I just ask one last question?
Yeah, go ahead.
What skill has everyone improved the most since COVID? Like, that you reckon that you've improved, but you probably wouldn't have if.
I would honestly say I don't know if it's not really because of, or maybe it is because of COVID partially, but it's my maths, honestly. I've been doing so much revision on those online things that it's way better than it was 6 months ago when I started, 4 months or so when I started looking at it. It's been like bashing your head against the wall, but that is definitely the thing that's improved the most for me.
I haven't tried to do anything productive. So video games. I've gotten better at video games.
Which video game have you got really good at in this time?
I've been playing through the old Half-Life 2 games. Well, I played Black Mesa, which is the remake of Half-Life 1. I really enjoyed that.
It. Yeah.
So I've done Black Mesa, Half-Life 2. I finished episode 1 yesterday, so I'll do episode 2 today, and then I have to buy a VR set to play Alex.
I've been like
probably a new computer because this one's very old.
That's what I want to get an Oculus S for or something, is just to play Alex. And then you'd play all the other stuff, but that's the main reason. Yeah. I've seen people playing it. It looks awesome. Oh, so jealous.
I want it so bad. I love Alex.
What about you, Sean?
My Mongolian throat singing.
Oh.
But you were already awesome at that.
But I got like exponentially better.
Can you give us a quick concert?
Yeah, I'll give it a go. Hopefully the microphone can pick up the two little thingers. I've never hold on a bit.
All right, world premiere of Shannon's, or probably not.
No, I've done it.
I think it's great for sleeping. I feel like I'm in an 80s movie with a theremin.
I say it sounds like a theremin, yeah.
I can't actually hear myself with headphones on. That's really
you sound
weird.
awesome, honestly. You sound like you're dead on.
Really cool.
Well, when this comes out, you can go have a look at the video and you can hear yourself.
I'll be really self-conscious though.
No, but the great thing is you weren't when you did it, so it sounds good. So now you can enjoy it.
Guys, I really enjoyed that.
Now back to Shannon's Mongolian singing podcast. So back on to what we were looking at. So when I started this in the July, I was still basically in email chains and things with the WFM committees, so the World Federalist Movement Committee. So the World Federalist Movement, as we've sort of gone over, is the one that started back in 1947 and has sort of just kept going, and it's been varying levels of functionality. And I was in a bunch of committee email things with them, and it was kind of in disarray. No one really knew what was going on because the old guy had left and they weren't sure what they were doing. And basically, some of the people were sharing my frustration. Some of them were saying, just wait for this thing, but we didn't really think it was ever going to happen. And so it just seemed like it was kind of going nowhere. And that was back in the late part of last year, as we were starting to do this. So this is like the way I thought, hey, I would do this and get some interest and things like that. I didn't really have an aim for where this podcast was going to go. And then... and obviously managed to recruit you to help me. And you've been very good at coming back every single week, which has been amazing. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Daniel.
Thank you. I've really enjoyed it.
And so the YWF, though, was a thing that basically started around November when I came into contact with a guy named Nick. And Nick, obviously, is the guy who lives in Texas and now lives in Florida. He's going to uni, I think, though, he said, in Washington, D.C. Cool. But he... me and him started the YWF with John Vlasto. So John Vlasto was one of the people in the WFM committee that was just frustrated with the whole thing, and he does some other work on the side with another organization. So it's a big web of like splintered groups that everyone's sort of partially involved with almost everything. Like it's messy is what we're trying to fix, but that's sort of the way things are at the moment. So the three of us sort of started it, and then we quickly got in contact with a whole bunch of other people because John knew some people, a young guy named Charles who's in the UK, as you can probably guess with a name like Charles. And then we got into contact with Ulla. So Ulla Persson lives in northern Norway. He does sanitation in Alta, so like way north. But he does a lot of our Facebook stuff. So we've got a bit of a mix. And then we ran to Pablo, who lived in Strasbourg, who started the Reddit channel, Global Tribe. He'd already started it, though. And there was like a few hundred people, I think. And then we all sort of piled in. And he said, yeah, no, absolutely, come in. And we sort of ended up taking over, and he joined us. So Pablo joined us, and we sort of took over the Reddit channel. And now...
You've got a habit of that, Daniel, don't you?
Yeah, I definitely have. Hostile takeovers, though. I guess it's takeovers. But so he was really thrilled to have us all there, and he was joining us for a whole lot of things because he didn't know who else was doing this stuff. Interesting fact though, he never wants his surname written anywhere because the thing is that he was doing a bunch of this stuff while he still lived in Spain, and he started getting death threats about it.
Oh my god!
So like, I haven't had any, and I feel like I should be like people see my name connected to this stuff. So I'd be interested to know if some of the other people have, but it might just have been him. So anyway,
that's
I don't know. It's basically because people think you're part of like the globalist conspiracy thing.
Oh, like the lizard men.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
Well, shout out to Pablo. I'll counter that, and here's a love threat, man. I'm gonna love you. I'm gonna love you forever. You're a good person.
But he's been really like he hasn't been able to do much recently because he's been really busy with basically COVID knocked him out of his work and he's had to find other work and he's been moving around and it's chaos for him at the moment.
Life is happening.
Exactly. Yeah. So he's one of the people who's been really hit by COVID. So he's been having to do a whole bunch of stuff. Hopefully he comes back and helps us again soon, but whenever he can.
Positive thoughts out to you, Pablo. Good luck to you, mate.
Definitely.
I'll definitely make sure to send a link to this to him so you can see. So that was the Reddit that we started. We didn't start it. He started it. We just took it over and made it bigger. So now it's at around 3,500 members after 8 months. So of being in, it was close to 1,000, but I can't remember what number it was. I remember we celebrated when it hit 1,000, but now it's at 3,500. So we also made a website, and then we made a new website because the last one wasn't very good. And so that's
the new one is very good.
That's at www.ywf.world if anyone wants to go have a look at it at the moment. Again, we've got all these ideas and things we want to change and add and do. It's just that we've got so many different things and none of us get paid to do any of this. Yeah. So like it all takes a lot of time. The main thing we really tried to focus on though was building communities around this stuff. So it's not so much about having a website that everyone can go and look at because there's tons of those already. It's more that the website is a hub of sorts, but it's about fostering these self-sustaining communities. And that's sort of what Discord and Reddit and Facebook are. Like they're places where people will come and post their own stuff and talk. So then that they create the energy themselves. So we don't have to be constantly pushing. And that's kind of the great thing that we've hit with Discord, especially at the moment, is every time I log in every morning, there's a whole bunch of conversations that have just happened overnight between members. And it's nothing to do with us talking. So like it's fantastic. It's exactly what I want to see because it means it's getting a life of its own. And we don't have to do everything because that's how you know it's taking off to something. So yeah, there was like only a few of us on Discord at the beginning, but now there's 170. People on Discord. We've split off into like a new system, which was kind of the hub and advocacy members, where basically the hub members make content and make things that people can use, and then the advocacy members go out and put it places and talk about it and spread the idea, which is great. It's worked well with being quarantined. Because basically people like me are making videos and people like, I don't know, example, there's a guy who lives in Cranbourne named Linton. So Linton goes online and spreads a lot of the stuff around and he was talking about it to us the other day. So it's a fairly good system we've got at the moment. So that's it's remarkable to me how much of this has happened in about 7 months or 8 months since me and Nick just sort of sat down and decided to do something.
You've been doing a lot of good work.
I'm very happy with how it's evolved because when we go and talk to the other World Federalist groups, we have done a lot more than anyone else has in a very short amount of time. Generally, the one exception that I would say is a guy named Andreas Bummel, who lives in Germany, and he runs Democracy Without Borders. And something called the UNPA campaign, which is the United Nations Parliamentary Assembly campaign, which is basically a campaign to get a parliamentary assembly that functions into the UN, that actually has some control and gets to vote on things. And as I think we've covered it all before, but like as I've said, my idea with his approach is it's very top heavy. It's very much like convincing established people to do things, like people who are already in the industry, already in the academia, that kind of thing, to get involved and vote on things. But it's been a bit weak at the bottom. But that's exactly where we are. Where
it's good having both. To play off each other, I think. Yeah.
It's been hard to see where the holes are until I spent a bit of time trying to do certain things and seeing what they were doing. And I think I've seen that. That's probably how the best way I explain it to them is that they've been very up here, but they haven't done much down here. So that's what we're trying to do.
And both are very important.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing that's what we keep telling them is like, guys, we are really good at the bottom part, and we don't really have the contacts at the top part. Very cute cat.
There's my other cat.
So you say Harry. I love they're both black. So Ghostbusters and them are all black. So we just have a fleet of black cats.
Yeah, well, Django's tuxedo, but mostly black.
He's got his little milky. All black. He's got his little milky drip chin.
He does. He does.
His little socks.
That's really awesome.
Point them out.
If Ghostbusters come back, I'll pick him up.
He made an appearance again.
Yeah, the funny thing with Ghostbusters, right, is he doesn't really like being held normally.
Yeah.
Like, if you hold him normally, he just climbs up and sits on your shoulders up here.
Oh, yeah.
And then he'll just wrap himself around your neck.
I like that.
And then just, like, lie there sort of thing.
I love
the one way he does lie down, though, is if I grab him by the chest and flip him upside down like a baby and then scratch his stomach, and he'll just sit there like this, like and just like cop it. And so that's the one.
I do the same thing, Daniel. You should try.
You go up on the chest and just flip. You could be our other cat. It's all right. Get enough kitty litter box.
Look, little size of my legs and feet, Daniel. I'll be scratching and kicking that kitty litter for days.
So the videos we've made, I think the video content that we've made has been one of the biggest things that sort of distinguished us from everyone else, aside from the communities, because we've been able to spread it online and get attention. Because the thing is, me and Nick are both fairly good at making videos. So the thing is, we could make them and put them together. I've actually got one coming up because I finally scripted it and did the voice. I just haven't done the visual editing on climate change, because I did the introductory one, and that one got us a lot of attention amongst all the other organizations. The What is World Federalism one. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but then there's the follow-up one. I'll send it to you guys if you're interested.
There, yeah.
But basically, a lot of people watched it and they were like, "Oh, this is awesome!" So like, because the idea that we were trying to hit the whole time, and by saying the bottom, is basically saying when you have a conversation with someone and you say, you try to explain this concept and win them over to it, the first thing that happens is you say, "Oh, I'm in favor of world federalism," or "What do you think about world federalism?" And the first question that you get back is, "What the hell is world federalism?" Because people have no idea what it is. And the thing is, a lot of the movement, the wider movement, doesn't really address that problem. They address it like, you've already had a conversation, you both know what it is, and now you're talking about the nitty-gritty. And so everything misses everyone, because all the content doesn't address what people really want to know, which is just fundamentally what the hell are you talking about. So that's what we're addressing, and it's probably why we've gotten somewhere. But that's what that first video is. It's just called What is World Federalism? And so the next one is about climate change and sort of how it links into it, because I'm going to do a series. I'm trying to, but I keep doing lots of other things instead. Like this.
That's how life works.
So, yeah, between the meeting we had with Democracia Global and from Argentina, because Camilla and Amelia, who were over there, both seemed like they'd seen it and thought it was great, because they did a Spanish language translation of it in text.
Oh, nice.
So,
beautiful.
Now we just need, I wish they'd read it as well, so we could, use their audio.
Yeah.
But we have a whole ton of people that speak Spanish. So we'll get someone to do the audio version of that at some point.
I can try to do it for you if you like, Daniel.
I can also try. Oh man, how bad would we butcher it if we did our own reading? Reading the text is always words like, I am not going to pronounce that. I'm not going to pronounce that right.
Yeah.
I struggle with English, mate.
We don't count. And then Bob and Donna at CGS, so Citizens of Global Solutions in the US. We had a big meeting with them following the whole thing, and now we had another one the other day, actually, which was a meeting for World Federalists Under 40, which is sort of like about all these people involved in different groups. Honestly, it was mostly the YWF members, so we sort of came in force with like 4 or 5 of us, and there was maybe 4 or 5 other people from other little groups. But I think a lot of people were missing that were in other organizations, so it'd be interesting to get that going because our aim is just to tie all these things together, as we've said before, all these little movements to work together and do something together. So we can actually be greater than the sum of our parts. Because at the moment, there's so much confusion and so much inconsistent branding.
It sounds like you're reversing that classic divide and conquer with undivide and conquer, Daniel.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's exactly the thing. Like, if you talk about divide and conquer, it's exactly what's sort of happened. Is they've so many little groups that don't do everything together. They do bits and pieces together randomly, and it's just it's a mess. Honestly, it has been staged.
Yeah.
So it'd be great to get them to all work together finally, and it's exactly what we've been talking to everyone about. We've actually been having meetings with the leadership of WFM about doing exactly this, about starting a new umbrella organization maybe, that basically means that they can be like a fundraising and academic group, the WFM, while we have a new umbrella group that basically manages all the membership and organizations and all the things within it, which is sort of what we've been trying to do. And then hopefully that could work. But it's all still talking about it. I think I have a meeting with them next week to talk about it. So that'd be cool. I really hope that happens. Because as I've been saying to them, and I sent them a bunch of pictures, basically saying, this is what our branding is like right now. It's a huge mess. In fact, I'm going to try and see if I can send it to you guys, the picture I sent them. Because then I can also post it on the video as well. Sorry, Shane, you had a point you were going to say a few times. Feel free to say it.
Was that based on my facial expressions? Because every now and then I just look at myself and go, hey.
It's not because you look like you're excited about, like, you're like...
No. I'm 31 years old and I still enjoy having a face and looking at it. You know, it's good. These eyebrows, like, look at them. They're so like.
I've sent you guys the picture of the chat. You can see it. I'll post it on the screen now as well so people can see it. This is sort of what I've been sending them because it's like, this is what I want to see sort of happen. Even though it won't necessarily be maybe those color tones and that scheme or whatever, it's that idea. Can you guys see it?
No, I'm definitely still there because I've lost the video.
It should be in chat now.
Oh, yep, I see it now.
In chat?
So you can see what I mean. It's basically, I sent that to them saying, this is what it is. We need this because whenever any of these little groups does an ad or does a video or does anything, it's all associated with that branding, that logo, that everything, and then nothing transfers to anything else. Whereas if you have a coherent, consistent brand, and one of them does something, they should all transfer to everyone else. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I've lost your video, but as long as you can still see mine, that's fine.
Yeah, no, it all looks normal on my end. Cool. We're getting close to the end anyway. Hopefully it updates in a sec.
Don't say the end, Daniel.
We've just crept over that 1 hour mark, so make that 11 out of 50.
You're not too excited. You know, it's the 50th extravaganza.
Yay!
So as you can see, this is the kind of thing I'm pitching to them, is basically common branding, coherent styling, make the whole thing, like, if anything does anything, it's immediately applicable to everyone else.
Yeah.
And, like, if you share it, you can just see the links. You know, and like I think it make them a lot stronger, and it's hopefully the direction we're going in, but we'll find out. I do have a lot of people supporting the idea. It's just about the structure that it has to take on. So that's the complicated thing because they've been around since 1947. So complicated.
Yeah.
And they got like a Congress and all this stuff, and it's kind of like half working, but we'll figure it out. So that was our whole idea. I got another note saying our whole idea for YWF is basically to prototype what we wanted them to do. and the stuff that we wanted them to take on. So that's why I've been sending them the videos and the websites and the Discord communities and all that sort of stuff. So hopefully they can see it and say, yep, awesome, makes sense, looks cool. And yeah, that's basically what's been going on at the moment, because that's the main thing that's happening now, is hopefully we can do that, and then we can bring together all the little bits and pieces from all over the world to sort of make something new and coherent, which would be really cool. So it's been a very interesting year.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just pressed a button. I'm sharing everyone in my screen. Oh gosh, what do I do?
Oh god, Shannon and I are both starting to really ruin.
What are you doing? Oh man, what's going on?
I didn't realize someone called me. I went to hang up, and then that link disappeared, and I clicked the thing behind it.
You're still
So
sharing.
are we now recording Shannon's screen?
How is it not working? Oh, is it better now? Is it off?
Yeah,
like
yeah,
Sorry, mine went back to normal. Like, my bad.
Our first experience of recording it with video, so this is just going to be a train wreck at the end.
Oh, yeah.
And trying to post things as well. That's what really...
Leave me alone for an hour. Leave me alone for an hour. You have to expect destruction.
It's lucky that we're winding down now then. So I was thinking, like, maybe we'll start doing all these in video and I can start posting them up like this. We'll figure out what we want to do, maybe a new plan for some new episodes. I think, Shannon, you said you have some ideas. So
yeah, I was gonna do that one on conspiracy theories, like,
awesome.
The common links and all that. And the other one I was gonna do, just because it's relevant to like the course that I'm doing right now, is like how the health system works in Australia, and do a review on it to see where it's effective and where it can improve on as well. And
yeah, no, I mean, if you tell us, we'll go and look at stuff as well.
Yeah,
cool. I can of that one, because I've got a friend who's a ER doctor and a friend is paramedic, so I can get their perspectives as well.
Very cool. Because pretty much what I'm studying at the moment is just very much like the shell of the health system. So because I have all that information in that like nice raw form, that's a good base to do the episode on, and then. Yeah, especially for all the expertise of the people we know, we can elaborate further in different areas.
And I probably know the least about the topic.
So that's why I love talking about stuff like that.
It'll be great for me because I'll just be listening to you guys rambling about stuff.
Yeah, but then we can have thoughts and see if it's, if it's something that can be modelled off like on a global demographic scale, or if it would have to...
Yeah, exactly. We'll figure out to see how maybe I'll compare. If you send me some stuff, I'll compare it to other places.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I think it's really nice and interesting just to actually explain how our system works, at least from like a nursing, education, health system point of view.
Well, guys, it's been a very fun, roughly 50 hours of podcasting that we've done together. So it'll be really cool to keep going. So I will catch you all later. It's been really fun having this 50th. So my name's Daniel.
Bet you can't catch me.
I've been Carla.
And I'm running Shannon.
Because
that's been the running joke this whole time, hasn't it?